So, what are some of like the pros and the cons of what we know about risk assessment tools and algorithms right now?
Well, I think what we're finding is that, I think if you utilize these things, and like I said, they use them across a wide range of industries, and I know like insurance uses them, more general types of insurance, but I think that the benefits is it allows you to crunch a lot of data to look for trends. And that's pretty much what these algorithms do. They look for trends in the data so that then you can utilize these trends to help you make some decisions. Now, the shortcomings in them is that, they're only as good as the information that you put into them to be able to come up with those trends. And a big criticism of these things in the criminal justice system is that they're based on historical data that some people believe is, filled with racial bias and other types of biases, so that if you're putting racial bias into an algorithm, your end result is going to give you a trend that includes that racial bias. And that's kind of where the big criticism about these risk assessments has shown up. And then we're also seeing the results not being what they've really, kind of touted them as, is that a lot of these studies that have been done show that, using a risk assessment versus a judge making a decision, that the quality of that decision is really no better than a coin flip. So is a risk assessment really helping you when you're basically have a 50-50 chance in getting the answer right? That really becomes the big question.
Yeah, totally. And we were talking about this years ago, and you had brought up a study done by ProPublica where they took similar defendants, similar risk factors, however, one was black, one was white, and oddly enough, the one who was rated as more likely to return to court, there is a higher failure to appear rate for the white person who was supposed to appear in court, and then the black person who had either a similar risk score rating or was given like a worse risk score rating, totally went to court and didn't reoffend. So what were some of the takeaways from that ProPublica report that came out a few years ago on algorithms in risk assessment tools?
Well, I think the ProPublica study, I think it's important is because I think it is the first one to really shine a light on these algorithms. And, for the last probably 5 to 6 years, there's really been this movement within the criminal justice system that this whole idea of, evidence-based pretrial solutions using these algorithms is, the be-all, end-all to solving all the ills in the criminal justice system. And what ProPublica said was, look, we before algorithms, we approach this as that there's problems in the system, is that there's, racial bias amongst whether it's, law enforcement officers, whether it's the judges, whether it's, whatever the reason is. And so these things were supposed to remove that or smooth out that racial bias. And unfortunately, what they found in that study was that it actually accentuated them. And a lot of being around these false positives, which you kind of referred to, is that thinking someone was going to necessarily be dangerous and then having them not be dangerous. So, and then I begin to tell you, well, who did we say was not dangerous that ended up being dangerous? So it really opened up, I think, a can of worms and shined the light behind the curtain of really what goes on with these, and got people a lot of interested in doing more studies and digging a little deeper.